When cutting-edge AI technology was turned on Queen Camilla's secluded estate, Raymill House, experts expected little more than a digital blueprint of bricks and beams. Instead, the scan peeled back layers of secrecy that stunned even seasoned historians. Hidden heirlooms, forgotten relics, and whispers of scandal seemed to emerge from its very walls. For Camilla, this was meant to be a quiet refuge. For critics, it became a vault of unanswered questions. But what exactly did the AI uncover that shook experts to their core? This is the story behind the discovery. Raymill House, Unmasked. For decades, Raymill House stood quietly in the rolling countryside of Wiltshire, hidden behind high hedges and guarded gates. To passing eyes, it looked like nothing more than a fine English country house. Beautiful, yes, but ordinary enough among the estates that dot the rural landscape. Yet, for Queen Camilla, Raymill was never ordinary. It was her private sanctuary, the one property she could truly call her own. Unlike the grand palaces dictated by centuries of royal tradition, Raymill represented freedom, independence, and a world far removed from the stiff formalities of monarchy. Camilla purchased the estate in 1996, following the collapse of her marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles, and during one of the most turbulent periods of her life. In the wake of public scorn and relentless scrutiny, Raymill became a refuge, a home where she could breathe freely, entertain close friends, and enjoy family moments without the constant watch of cameras or courtiers. It was the place where she could escape judgment, where laughter could echo in the halls without fear of scandal splashed across tomorrow's headlines. But while Raymill offered Camilla peace, it also bred curiosity. For years, whispers circulated about what truly went on behind its closed doors. Was it simply a countryside retreat, or did the estate hold deeper secrets tied to her personal life, and perhaps the monarchy itself? Few outside her intimate circle knew. The walls kept their silence until technology intervened. When advanced artificial intelligence was tasked with scanning Raymill House, the goal seemed straightforward: to map and analyze the estate's structure, design, and historical layers. Experts anticipated nothing more than a digital blueprint of bricks, beams, and architectural quirks. But what emerged went far beyond expectations. The AI did more than catalog walls and windows. It seemed to peel back layers of hidden history embedded in the estate itself. Suddenly, the house was no longer just a home. It became a vault of secrets, its very stones whispering stories long buried. The scan revealed anomalies in the architecture, hidden passages tucked into corners, and areas that suggested deliberate concealment. Documents and heirlooms appeared in unexpected places, raising questions about how they got there and why they were never disclosed. Objects tied not only to Camilla's own family, but also with faint echoes of Windsor history came to light. What was supposed to be a simple countryside retreat began to look like a trove of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. For historians, the revelations were nothing short of astonishing. How could one private estate hold so much that was overlooked for decades? For critics, it seemed almost poetic that the woman once accused of living in shadows, entangled in secrets and scandals, should have her personal refuge exposed in such a way. Raymill House, once the ultimate symbol of Camilla's independence, now stood at the center of a digital storm that blurred the line between private life and royal history. And for Queen Camilla herself, the discovery was a double-edged sword. The sanctuary she had fiercely guarded was no longer just her private retreat. It was a place of intrigue, a symbol of mystery that fed speculation rather than silenced it. The AI pulled back the curtain, exposing not just a home but a legacy engraved in hidden rooms and forgotten relics. But could Raymill House be more than Camilla's sanctuary? Now, let's uncover how AI turned Raymill into a treasure chest of hidden histories, forgotten heirlooms, and long-buried secrets. When artificial intelligence swept its digital eye across Raymill House, many expected to see nothing more than measurements and layouts, the predictable skeleton of a stately country home. But what the scan revealed was far more extraordinary. Hidden away in forgotten corners, sealed compartments and storage rooms untouched for years were objects that told stories no one was prepared to hear. The estate, once thought of as merely a personal retreat, began to resemble an archive of untold history. Among the discoveries were heirlooms tied directly to Queen Camilla's own lineage. Some of these artifacts carried the scent of memory, items passed down through her family, perhaps quietly preserved as keepsakes of a life lived before her royal transformation. They weren't grand crown jewels or priceless treasures, but they carried the weight of intimacy, a child's toy tucked away in an attic box, faded letters bound by ribbon, and portraits long obscured by dust, suggested a deeply personal history Camilla had carefully guarded from the outside world. Each item whispered of a woman who had lived not just in the spotlight of scandal and monarchy, but also in the private joys and sorrows of ordinary family life. Yet not everything belonged solely to Camilla's bloodline. As the AI probed deeper, it uncovered objects that seemed to brush against the broader Windsor legacy. A gilded trinket bearing royal insignia, documents marked with the seal of the crown, and personal notes that appeared to cross paths with royal history were among the most puzzling finds. These weren't merely family relics. They hinted at a connection between Raymill House and the monarchy itself. How had such items found their way into Camilla's secluded home? Were they gifts, misplaced possessions, or perhaps something else entirely? The revelations sent experts scrambling for explanations. To some, the objects suggested overlooked exchanges within the family, a natural blending of lives where gifts and heirlooms crossed households. To others, however, the discoveries carried a more unsettling implication. If Raymill contained items tied to Windsor history, did that mean secrets of the crown had been quietly shielded here, hidden from the public eye under the guise of private ownership? Every artifact raised new questions. A faded document, for instance, appeared to reference a private arrangement within the royal household, a matter long believed to have vanished into history. An heirloom watch engraved with initials not belonging to Camilla hinted at connections that blurred the lines between personal keepsake and royal possession. Even the architecture seemed to conspire with secrecy, as if the house itself had been designed to keep these fragments safe from prying eyes. For historians, the AI scan was nothing short of groundbreaking. Raymill House had transformed from a sanctuary into a puzzle box of royal intrigue. Each discovery chipped away at the idea that Camilla's private life existed entirely apart from her royal role. Instead, the findings suggested a constant, if hidden, overlap, one where personal memory and public legacy intertwined in ways no one had fully realized. For critics, the scan confirmed their suspicions. Camilla's world was never entirely her own. Even in the privacy of her retreat, the shadows of monarchy lingered, preserved in heirlooms, artifacts, and documents that spoke of a life far more entangled with royal history than appearances suggested. AI has finally peeled back the layers of Raymill House, revealing secrets long buried in silence. But why were Camilla's personal heirlooms hidden away instead of preserved in royal archives? And did anyone in the royal family suspect these mysteries? Now let's unravel how AI's revelations give new weight to Princess Anne's old accusations against Camilla. Princess Anne's relentless disapproval. Princess Anne has always been known for her no-nonsense nature, her sharp tongue, and her unwavering loyalty to the crown. Unlike many of her siblings, she rarely bows to public pressure or softens her opinions for the sake of appearances. Over the years, this unshakable bluntness has made her both admired and feared within the royal family. And when it comes to Queen Camilla, Anne's words have often carried a sting that refuses to fade. From the earliest days of Charles and Camilla's controversial relationship, Anne remained one of the most vocal skeptics. While others around the family tried to show polite acceptance, Anne spoke openly about her disapproval. She believed Camilla had disrupted the fragile harmony of the royal household and had even cast doubt on whether her influence over Charles was a blessing or a curse. At times, she is said to have remarked that Camilla was less a partner and more a wedge, quietly deepening divides where unity was most needed. For years, Princess Anne's criticisms of Camilla seemed mere whispers, dismissed as family gossip. Yet when advanced AI scanned Raymill House, Camilla's private sanctuary, the results were startling. Hidden relics, heirlooms, and personal possessions emerged, some tied to her family, others hinting at the Windsor legacy. Why were such items concealed in Raymill rather than preserved in royal archives? And do these discoveries reveal a subtle merging of Camilla's private world with royal affairs, blurring boundaries once thought sacrosanct? The findings raise questions that historians and critics alike cannot ignore. Suddenly, Anne's earlier accusations no longer felt like the harsh judgments of a sister-in-law unwilling to accept change. Instead, they began to sound like warnings, foreshadowing a deeper truth. Could it be that Camilla's influence, long dismissed as mere family politics, was intertwined with something larger, something even the monarchy itself had overlooked? For Anne, who had spent her entire life dedicated to duty, honor, and the preservation of the crown, the revelations seemed almost vindicating. The AI's discoveries gave weight to her unyielding stance, as though the very walls of Raymill House had chosen to speak in her defense. What had once been dismissed as personal animosity now felt like a reflection of a greater unease, an unease tied not only to Camilla's role but to the monarchy's future stability. The relics found within Raymill painted a portrait of a woman who had carefully woven her private world into the fabric of royal history, whether consciously or not. To her supporters, it might have been a sign of her resilience, her determination to claim a place within the family despite decades of scorn. But to her critics, Anne chief among them, it was evidence of overreach, of a quiet rewriting of the past that disrupted the balance of the royal household. As experts pored over the AI findings, public debates began to swirl. Was Anne right all along to distrust Camilla's presence within the monarchy? Had the cracks in royal harmony always been there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for technology to uncover them? For every whisper of reconciliation, the scan of Raymill House offered an echo of division, and in that echo, Princess Anne's sharp words suddenly rang louder, carrying with them the weight of truth that even time itself could not silence. I exposed hidden secrets at Raymill, confirming what Princess Anne had long warned about. But beyond validating her suspicions, could these revelations also unveil Camilla's tangled past with Charles and Diana? Let's uncover the shocking details. The scandalous past that refused to fade. Camilla's story has never been free of shadows, and the scan of Raymill House made that truth impossible to ignore. For decades, her name has been tied to one of the most controversial love affairs in royal history, her long, complicated relationship with Charles. What began as a romance that defied expectations eventually became a scandal that shook the monarchy to its core. And even now, years later, traces of that turbulent past seem to echo through her private sanctuary. When advanced I scanned the walls, rooms, and hidden spaces of Raymill House, it didn't just map out architecture. It revealed something far more personal: mementos, keepsakes, and tokens of a past that many believed had been buried with time. These discoveries whispered stories of love, betrayal, and rivalry that once dominated headlines and fractured public trust in the royal family. They reminded the world that while Camilla may now sit on the throne as queen, the crown she wears is still wrapped in controversy. At the heart of it all is the triangle that defined the 1980s and 1990s: Charles, Diana, and Camilla. Diana herself once confessed in that unforgettable interview, "There were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Those words captured the heartbreak of a woman who lived under the shadow of a romance that existed long before and long after her vows. For the public, it painted Camilla not as a supporting figure, but as a central character in one of the monarchy's darkest chapters. The AI findings seemed to echo this drama. Among the private objects linked to those years were subtle reminders of how deeply intertwined Camilla's personal history is with Charles and Diana's. They spoke of a bond that endured through secrecy, scandal, and public outrage, a bond that cost Diana her peace and reshaped the monarchy's image forever. For some, it felt like reopening old wounds that had never truly healed. The discoveries also reignited a larger debate. Can the past ever be separated from the present? Can a queen who was once seen as a villain in Diana's tragedy ever be fully embraced without suspicion? While Camilla has spent years carefully reshaping her public image, moving from other woman to royal consort and finally to queen, these reminders prove how fragile that transformation remains. Every hidden memento uncovered by AI became a symbol, not just of her love for Charles, but of the chaos that love once unleashed. What makes this even more powerful is the timing. In an era where technology can reach into places once thought impenetrable, AI has forced the monarchy's private history into public view. Secrets stored away in Raymill House were never meant to be uncovered in this way. Yet their emergence ensures that the shadows of Diana and the pain of the past continue to follow Camilla into her reign. Ultimately, the AI scan did more than document a building. It reawakened ghosts of the past, ghosts tied to forbidden love, betrayal, and loss. It reminded the world that behind the polished crown and ceremonial duties, Queen Camilla's story is one of survival through scandal. And though she may wear the title of queen, the discoveries from Raymill House prove that her history can never be erased. Instead, it lingers like an echo, reminding everyone that her crown was forged in controversy. AI unearthed Camilla's hidden past, revealing a crown shaped by scandal and strategy. But was her ascent to queen fueled by true love or the result of ambition, meticulously calculated? Let's uncover the secrets in the dangerous Game of Thrones. Camilla, the press, and the dark side of power. Prince Harry's explosive memoir Spare did more than lift the royal curtain. It cast a long and unsettling shadow over Queen Camilla's path to the throne. In its pages, Harry spoke with raw honesty about how both he and Prince William once pleaded with their father, King Charles, not to marry her. The brothers, still carrying the emotional wounds of their mother Princess Diana's heartbreak, feared that bringing Camilla officially into the royal fold would only deepen divisions within the family and invite fresh turmoil from the public. But Harry's account went further than youthful disapproval. He suggested that Camilla's rise had not been an organic journey of acceptance, but rather the result of careful calculation and relentless determination. According to him, she was not simply a passive figure swept up in love and destiny. She was an active player in a dangerous game of survival. Harry admitted that at one point he hoped his stepmother might be less dangerous if she finally achieved the happiness and recognition she craved. His choice of words was striking, almost chilling, and it painted a picture of Camilla as someone whose quest for public approval carried risks that extended far beyond her own image. To him, her danger lay not in malice, but in the methods she was willing to use to secure her place. One of the most damning claims Harry made was about Camilla's alleged alliance with the British press. He accused her of forging powerful ties with influential journalists and editors, building relationships that went far beyond the usual courtesies of royal publicity. In Harry's telling, these connections were transactional. Stories were leaked, reputations were sacrificed, and private struggles within the royal household became fodder for headlines. The cost of this, according to Harry, was devastating. He described it in stark terms, claiming that Camilla's campaign to rehabilitate her image left bodies in the street. Though metaphorical, the phrase conjured up images of reputations destroyed, relationships fractured, and trust shattered. All casualties of the silent war fought between the royals and the media. For her critics, these revelations did not come as a surprise, but rather as confirmation of long-held suspicions. Camilla's story has always been entwined with controversy, from being cast as the other woman in Diana's marriage to her transformation into queen consort. Harry's words added a disturbing new layer to that legacy, suggesting that behind the carefully polished public image lay a trail of compromises, betrayals, and uneasy bargains. To others, however, Harry's claims highlighted the brutal reality of life within the monarchy itself. The royal family has always relied on the press to survive, and every member has been caught in the same ruthless dance of exposure and control. In this sense, Camilla may not have been unusually manipulative, but rather exceptionally skilled at playing by rules that were already written. Still, the accusations reshaped the conversation around her reign. Instead of being seen purely as the loyal companion who stood by Charles's side through decades of scandal, Camilla was recast, at least in Harry's telling, as a strategist who understood that in a monarchy built on hierarchy and perception, survival sometimes demanded sacrifices. But beyond Harry's claims about Camilla's rise, do the long-forgotten documents uncovered by I expose a secret intertwining of her private world with the monarchy's hidden history. Now, let's uncover how AI exposed Raymill House's hidden royal secrets. AI unveils the hidden mysteries of Raymill. When advanced AI technology scanned Queen Camilla's private estate, Raymill House, what was expected to be a simple digital survey quickly transformed into one of the most intriguing discoveries in recent royal history. Experts anticipated nothing more than floor layouts, structural details, and perhaps some minor quirks of an old countryside home. Instead, the scan peeled back layers that no one, neither historians nor the curious public, had ever imagined existed. Behind Raymill's quiet stone walls and lush gardens lay a story that seemed almost stranger than fiction. The AI detected hidden passages tucked discreetly within the architecture, suggesting the house was designed for more than comfort and privacy. Some speculated these secret routes may have been intended for escape, secrecy, or simply quiet solitude away from the eyes of both press and palace. Their very presence, however, hinted at a far deeper narrative than the peaceful country retreat Camilla had presented to the world. What truly startled the team of experts, though, were the unusual architectural choices that did not align with the typical design of similar country estates. Certain rooms appeared slightly altered, hallways led to abrupt dead ends, and vault-like structures were embedded within the foundation. These irregularities raised questions. Were these architectural quirks innocent, or had they been deliberately constructed to conceal, preserve, or even protect something? The AI's most intriguing revelation, however, came in the form of forgotten documents, hidden behind walls, buried under old fixtures, and tucked away in places no ordinary visitor would ever think to search. These papers carried fragments of untold history. Some appeared to be personal letters with ties to Camilla's family, while others hinted at broader links to the monarchy itself. For critics, the very existence of such documents inside her private refuge blurred the line between her personal sanctuary and the royal world she had married into. This was not just about architecture or heirlooms. It was about how history has a way of clinging to walls, hiding in corners, and waiting for the right moment to resurface. Raymill, often described as Camilla's ultimate escape from royal life, was revealed by AI as anything but ordinary. The house was less a simple retreat and more a living vault of secrets, whispering of stories still untold. For supporters of Camilla, the discoveries were fascinating but not damning, perhaps even a testament to the estate's deep history and the layers of life it had witnessed before and after she made it her own. For her critics, however, the findings were fuel for old suspicions that Camilla's life, even in her most private spaces, could never be separated from the complexity, mystery, and controversy of the crown. What shocked experts the most was not just the physical findings, but the realization that Raymill's story had been hiding in plain sight all along. The AI had only shone a light on what had been waiting to be uncovered, showing that, even within the walls of a queen's personal refuge, secrets can linger, silent, patient, and deeply unsettling. I revealed Raymill's hidden passages and forgotten documents, showing that Camilla's sanctuary harbors royal secrets. But do these discoveries suggest her reign still carries unresolved shadows of the past? And could her celebrated coronation actually mask lingering controversies within the monarchy? Let's uncover the truth. the coronation's shadowed glory. The coronation of Queen Camilla was one of the most dramatic and defining moments in recent royal history. When she stood beside King Charles wearing the crown and embracing the role of queen consort, many saw it as the ultimate triumph of love over years of scandal. To her supporters, this moment symbolized resilience, a testament to how two people, bound together by affection and determination, managed to weather decades of criticism, whispers, and heartbreak. It was, on the surface, a victory, not just for Camilla, but for the idea that personal happiness could exist even within the rigid walls of royal duty. Yet beneath the polished splendor of the ceremony, shadows lingered. For some, Camilla's coronation reopened old wounds that had never fully healed. The memory of Princess Diana and the painful love triangle that defined much of Charles and Camilla's history was never far from the minds of the public. To critics, the crown did not simply represent love's endurance, but also the price of it, a reminder of the sacrifices, struggles, and controversies that had paved her way to the throne. The image of Camilla as queen consort was, therefore, as divisive as it was historic. And then came the revelations of the AI scan at Raymill House. What was intended as a private digital exploration of her countryside retreat quickly turned into something far more unsettling. The technology unearthed hidden relics, strange architectural designs, and forgotten documents that painted a different portrait of Camilla, one layered with complexity, mystery, and lingering controversy. These discoveries forced both the public and the experts to re-examine her coronation not simply as a crowning achievement, but as a turning point loaded with unanswered questions. The AI's findings seemed to suggest that the coronation was not the neat conclusion to Camilla's story, but the beginning of another chapter, one filled with uncertainties. If Raymill House held secrets tied to her family, and perhaps even to the broader Windsor legacy, what else might her reign conceal? Was her crown merely a symbol of triumph, or was it also a weight carrying echoes of the past into the present? For many royal watchers, this duality was impossible to ignore. On one hand, Camilla's rise was a human story of persistence, of surviving public scrutiny, enduring years of being cast as the other woman. On the other hand, the AI revelations hinted that her journey might not be as straightforward as it appeared. Her reign, instead of being seen solely as the victory of love, could also be read as a reign haunted by shadows, by secrets, by whispers of history, and by the ever-present question of legitimacy in the eyes of the people. In this sense, the coronation did not silence debate. It magnified it. Every jewel on the crown, every cheer in Westminster Abbey, and every image of her standing proudly at the king's side was accompanied by an undercurrent of doubt. Was this truly the fairy tale ending that some claimed, or was it the start of a reign built upon layers of unresolved history? For Queen Camilla, the coronation was undeniably a triumph. But thanks to the AI's shocking discoveries, it was also a reminder that every triumph in the royal world comes with a price. And sometimes, that price is the weight of secrets that refuse to stay buried. So, what do you think about the shocking discoveries inside Queen Camilla's estate? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.